What's up, John?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
What's up, Nick?
What kind of hat you rocking?
Rays. Old Rays, man.
Okay. All right, who's in charge of questions at today's high level?
You want to go first?
How about your injury situation? Is Jacob going to play? Anybody else?
Right now, Jacob stayed today. He practiced Monday. We were off Tuesday. So we'll see how he feels. You know, if he has any soreness, I'll hold him out. But he had a good practice Monday, and he said he felt great. So we'll see. But I promise I'll be conservative with him if he tells me he's sore at all. But everybody else seems is fine. But we're all day to day.
If he does play, I would think he wouldn't play 30 minutes or anything like that.
I hadn't even thought. I'm just worried about today. Just try to get through today, see how he is. He tells me he's fine, so it's good to be young.
So you coming out of that exhibition, you weren't entirely happy. Have you worked on some things? I mean, what do you anticipate from this game, just from you and also from Brown in general?
Well, I'm never happy. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I've noticed it.
Thanks, Bill. But actually, I was happy. Sammy's doing excellent in school. I had a conference yesterday. But just trying to get better all the time. You know, as far as us, no matter, you know, we're always you're going to do things, some things well, some things not well. The season's such a long season. You want to just try to stay healthy and keep getting better. As far as Brown's concerned, you know, the teams like Brown, the three-point shot is always a concern. It's always the great equalizer. When a team could potentially put 5 guys outside the line and shoot threes on you. So they went to SMU last year and gave SMU all they wanted because they made 14 threes. So that's always a concern. They also have a senior point guard that, you know, when you go on the road, you got a guy that can take care of the ball at a place like Cincinnati. Gives you a chance. Blackman's his name. He's very good with the ball. He's got quickness. So, you know, every team poses potential problems, but the three-point shot would be a big concern as far as what Brown brings to the table.
I saw some of the stuff you said about Troy at the meetings, the league meetings. How important is it for him to have a big year as a senior and kind of?
Oh, extremely. You got to have guys. Got to have great years if you want to talk about actually winning a conference. You know, the last time we won a conference, we had 2 great players, Justin Jackson and Sean Kilpatrick. And it's got to be postseason awards. So I think Troy's capable of it. I think this year will be a lot different. I think he's got a lot more offensive help than he had the last 2 years, to be really honest about it. I think our team will be able to spread the floor more, which will give him more room to operate. But I think that Kevin and Jacob are much improved. I know Justin is. Jaron Cronin can really play. So he's got help on the perimeter. But I think we'll be able to spread the floor a little bit more for him. So I don't know about averaging more points, but I think shooting a higher percentage and being more consistent with his performance are things I expect from him. No question about it. But no, that has to happen. For us to, but really for anybody to have a great year, you got to have a couple of guys have a great year. I mean, it's just, you can only coach so much. So he's more than capable of it. So just, my big thing with him is just continue to try to push him to be great. And, you know, some guys you don't have to worry about that. They think they're great already. You maybe have to explain to them that they're not as great as they think they are. Troy's a guy I've always had to try to push him to be aggressive and to really believe that he can be a great player. That's always been my challenge with him, as well as Gary Clark, to be really honest about it.
What have you liked the most about what happened in the summer and the preseason, and the season about to start? What gives you the most hope?
Well, I think guard plays big in college basketball, so I was just talking to John about, I think that we have 5 perimeter players I'm confident in. You know, I really think Kevin is flourishing in our style of play this year. He's really gotten much better at picking and choosing his spots and taking care of the ball. Justin Jennifer is an immensely improved player. I think Jacob's poised, once he gets back in the groove, to have a great year. Troy, obviously, with his preseason accolades, but then Justin Jennifer's improvement, I talked about all the offseason. So I think we'll be able to always have 3 perimeter players that are quality players on the floor. Guys that can score, guys can handle the ball, pass, make other players better. It's just college basketball is a perimeter-dominated game, especially with no 5-second count on the dribbler. You know, those guys can keep using the pick and roll and sharing the ball and spreading the floor and never have to get a 5 count if you choose to play that way.
You've always had a shot blocker in the middle. You still have Gary Clark, who's a good shot blocker, but is Kyle Washington going to be able to give you that, or is he not that kind of player?
No, Kyle blocks him off the ball just like Gary. What we don't have is the low post stopper. Kyle and Gary can both rotate and block shots. We have a lot of guys that do that. Where Nasir's going to be what Octavius was, where he can just fortify the paint on his own. So we got to do that as a team this year. That's what probably be our biggest defensive difference from this year to last year, where Kyle's a guy that's he's very good at rotating and blocking shots, but he's not a true low post center. He's a forward, and he's in every sense of the word. So he can't just fortify the paint defensively by himself like Octavius did for us, or really even Justin, despite his lack of size, he did it his senior year. So Troy and Kevin in particular, I've had to explain to them that that we've got to fortify the paint more as a team this year. And make sure that we're getting those guys the help they need. Now, and Nasir can do it when he's in there, and he's going to play for us. So, but he's the one guy that he's big enough, and he understands how to use his size.
I think you mentioned earlier about Kyle. He had any foul trouble in the exhibition game, and you mentioned that as maybe a concern. Is that a big concern of yours?
Oh yeah, big, huge concern. He's got to learn how to pick his spots. With both his fouls against Bellarmine were over the back fouls. Where, I've said this for years around here, your strength is your weakness. He's a very aggressive player, but you got to know when you can't go over the back going after the ball. I mean, you just can't do it. So you got to be able to stay aggressive. You got to be smart about your aggression. So guys learn the hard way with that. The greatest teacher in the game is the wood, the pine, and you're sitting over there with 2 fouls all the time. Actually, I told him, you got to. Faster you learn, the more you're going to play.
Do you, since he had to sit out last year, expect it to take him a while to get back into the flow of things?
I hope not, but I think it probably will, to be honest with you. I throw a lot at the guys early, and then the week before the season, we simplify things and get ready to play games. So this week's been a lot easier for him, just trying to figuring out what he can handle, hitting him with everything in the kitchen sink the first month, and then this week really trying to simplify things for him offensively and defensively, to where he's not thinking as much. But it probably was going to take him a little time, I would think.
I had a big guy, that big of a guy could step out and shoot like that. Here, I don't think you have.
Yeah, not here. Oh, well, I mean, if you wanted to call Marcus Sykes when we played with no big guys 11 years ago.
I thought you didn't want to talk about that.
No, but you had to bring it up.
Yeah.
Is your rebounding a concern at all? I mean, you were out-rebounded in the exhibition. But
Shouldn't be, no.
It shouldn't be a concern?
No. That one I can control. Rebounding is a coachable thing. I've always believed that, and we've been good at that at every team I've coached. That won't be a problem here. That I can handle. That's a coachable thing. I think I will say that having Jacob out there is a factor. See, when you're running around with Justin, Troy, 2 point guards, and Kevin, you're not very big. You're gonna have Jacob or Jaron out there along with 2 other guys with size, so it'll look a lot different.
On the recruiting front, what was it about Trevor Moore that stood out to you? He kind of was an under-recruited kid, but you guys recognized
Every time
him
he
early.
shot the ball, it went in. It really wasn't a hard evaluation. Trevor's a great kid, which we found out after the fact, or we fell in love with the fact that he made every shot he took. You know, there's no substitute for shooting on the offensive end. You know, he's a guy that he's what we in scouting reports what we call a can't leave guy. I mean, you just can't leave Trevor Moore open, or he'll just carve you up. I mean, you know, it's like the other day in practice, the red team was down 10, and Jaron Cumberland hits 3 straight threes, and the game's a 1-point game. And I was making both teams work on playing zone to get ready in case the other team plays a zone. But still, I mean, the 3-point shot is huge in our game today. That, and then as the more I watch Trevor, he's a tough defender. He's just a tremendous kid. He's one of the best kids you'll ever meet. He was an easy one. Just very fortunate that we were able to get him before everybody else figured out how good he was. Fortunately, he played a lot of football in his first 3 years in high school, playing quarterback. So once he started focusing on basketball, his game really took off.
How about Ellie?
Ellie's a big recruit for us. Whenever you find a 6'9" guy with the wingspan that Ellie has, that has a high motor, he's got great quickness for a 6'9" guy. It's really hard to find 6'9" human beings, especially in Cincinnati. So very few of those. So then to find a guy that is as quick as he is. I mean, he's got great quickness for a 6'9" guy to be able to, whether it's on the offensive end, the way he can roll off the pick and roll, the way he runs the floor, and the energy level he plays with. He's got a tremendous motor for a basketball player. That's a huge thing, especially for a big guy. To be able to use your size and athleticism, you got to have the motor to run around and use it. He's got a great passion for the game. That's the one thing that both of those guys have great passion for the game of basketball. Something, you know, the more selective older you get, and the more selective you get in recruiting, I think it's an underrated thing to recruit guy. I think people say, well, why wouldn't guys? Everybody doesn't love basketball. Some guys play because of their height. They play because they're supposed to. Those guys really love the game. And the best example I can give you on Ellie is that he speaks 4 languages. English wasn't one of them until he came to Canada. And he talks more than anybody on his team while he's playing. And he only knew about 20 English words. So that tells you how passionate he was about the game. And when they lost, when I saw him in Las Vegas and they got eliminated in the summertime, I just thought the guy lost the national championship. But to him it was. I mean, he doesn't know. I mean, he's from Kinshasa. So, you know, he had never played basketball with shoes on up until about 18 months ago. He had never played basketball indoors up until about 18 months ago. And he had never played basketball where there were nets on the baskets. So he's a special guy, so we're excited to have him. He's had a tremendous journey. He'd be a great story for everybody to cover someday.
Thanks, Coach.
He's from